Hi guys, I'm a Forester here. This is going to be the third in a series of videos that I'm doing that are focusing on self-defense knives. There may be one or two more videos on this topic, but I'll also be doing videos on other subjects and mixing those in, so please bear with me for those of you that aren't into tactical knives. I'll be back into EDC and gentleman folders soon enough. The Spyderco Police is the featured knife of the video today. Now, to be honest, I had a hard time deciding how I feel about this knife. There's plenty of talking points, both pro and con, but in the end I have to decide whether I would spend my money on this knife if I had it to do all over again. I spent a good bit of time and thought trying to select a good tactical knife that would be stronger and more capable than the Almar Eagle Ultralight that I reviewed last week. The Eagle's strong point, if you remember, was its lightweight, but the blade was a little bit shorter than I wanted, and its lightweight might compromise its strength. Now, I won't go over all the knives that I considered, but I made the decision to buy the Police next. Its strong suit is its length. It has a 4-inch cutting length, and the blade is 4 3/8 overall. Now that's pretty impressive. It's probably the longest folding knife that I'll ever own. Another upgrade over the Almar Eagle is the blade steel. It has VG10 blades stamped right there for the Police versus AUS 8 for the Eagle. Now VG10 is one of my favorite knife steels. It's made in Seki City, Japan, and it's a common steel used there. I have several knives that were made in Seki City, like this Spyderco Delica. It also has VG10 steel, made in Seki City, Japan. I just sharpened this on my Wicked Edge, and that has an extremely sharp blade on it. The handle on the Police is also extra long, 5.5 inches compared to just under 5 inches for the Eagle. There's plenty of real estate to hold on to this knife. Even if I move my hand back to where that finger's in the finger choil, there's still a little bit left over. The Police is much more secure in hand than the Eagle. Its traction plan is much better because it features that thumb ramp, which are on a lot of Spyderco knives, and the finger choil down here. And with the jimping that Spyderco does, and I really like the jimping, and it's on top as well as underneath, it really locks the hand in place. The G10 scales I'll try to give you a close-up of, but the G10 is very grippy, and altogether that traction plan locks the blade in place in my hand. The Police has steel liners, and if you remember, the Almar Eagle didn't, to hold down the weight. Spyderco has skeletonized those liners. I doubt that you'll be able to see that, to hold down the weight on it, but it's still 5 ounces. But that's 5 ounces compared to 2.4 ounces for the Eagle. The added weight, though, gives me confidence that it'll hold up to hard use, and I don't have any problem carrying the Police in my back pocket daily. Now, the Police is a lockback knife, like the Eagle. Both have one-handed operation, one-handed opening with the hole, and then one-handed closing. Now, it's not as easy to operate the Police as it is the Almar Eagle, mainly because of the position of the lockback. It's in the mid position on the Police, but on the Eagle it's placed forward, and it's easier to open and especially easier to close one-handed with the Eagle. What I have to do with the Police is actually hold it down, keep my finger up here, close it, and then that finger choil catches my finger. I'm not really worried about cutting myself because of that finger choil, and also because that blade came out of box very dull. I'll roll in a cutting demonstration here. It works fairly well with thicker paper, although you can hear it tearing a little. But it miserably fails with thinner newspaper. It will not cut it, just tears it. I've been wanting to do a blade sharpening video, and I'll probably use this knife for that video later. Now the pocket clip is the standard Spyderco clip that I love. It's 4-way positionable, tip up or tip down, right or left-handed. It rides fairly low. This much would be sticking out of the pocket, and that's fine by me because it's easier for me to extract the knife out of my pocket by having something to catch on to. Now, even though the knife is 5 ounces in weight, it still rides fairly well in my pocket because it's so thin. Let me hold it up next to the Eagle. The Eagle is especially thin, but I don't think the Police is that much thicker. Both ride very well in my pocket and aren't really noticeable. Now, so far, I think you'd say that I'm pretty high on the Police model. It has the 4-inch blade that I was looking for and the upgraded steel in VG10. It's more secure in my hand with the G10 handle, the thumb ramp, the finger choils, the jimping. It's stronger and the added weight is manageable. So why did I have a hard time figuring out whether I liked the knife or not? I watched several reviews, and Nut & Fancy did a very positive review of this knife and loved it. But let's go back to the blade and look closer to answer the question, why did I not particularly like the knife? And remember, this is supposed to be a self-defense knife. To me, a self-defense blade should come to a point, and it should at least have moderate amount of belly on the blade. The Police does have a slight belly to the blade, and that's fine by me, but Spyderco has borrowed a design feature from some of their more popular EDC knives in fashioning the tip. It wasn't very noticeable in pictures, and I had to actually hold a straight edge up to it to be able to make sure it's not just an illusion because of the way the swedge comes to the point. But when you hold a straight edge up to the tip, you can clearly see that that tip is bent down. Like I say, it wasn't noticeable until I got it in hand. I really wasn't sure, but it ends up blunting the tip. Let me show it in the Delica, which is, I think, one of the knives where that feature is borrowed from. But when I hold a straight edge up to it, you can clearly see that that tip is blunted by having the spine bent down. That's fine for a small EDC knife, but it's out of place in a tactical folder, in my opinion. So with all its positives, would I buy this Spyderco Police all over again? Well, possibly, but only for a watermelon slicer, not for a tactical knife. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the blunt tip is a deadly mistake in my opinion, and that's where the title of this video comes from. It might function okay for self-defense, but Spyderco seems to have gone out of their way to have the knife work against itself with a blunt tip. Let me put the Kershaw Blur up against the Police model. I'm using the Blur as a competitive option just simply because people are fairly familiar with it. I want you to stay tuned for next week's review because it's going to be of this Emerson Gentleman Gem. I really look forward to reviewing this knife. And by the way, it does have a pointy tip. See you later.